Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Hey, that's such a catchy little tune. That's our signature tune now.
Our signature tune.
We got a tune.
All right. Well, it's another beautiful day in Chicago, huh?
Sure is.
Yeah,
I'm loving the weather.
It's been warm. We were just talking about that a little bit ago, but
Oh.
yeah, it has been really warm. We went from like very cold and then like very cold spring
Summer.
weather to like summer in a day. Like it's going to be 90 tomorrow. It's like it's 40 today and 90 tomorrow.
But I have to say, living here, even though it's super, super cold most of the time, unfortunately, I love the seasons. You know, I don't think I'd be happy just personally with no seasons. Like our mom lives in South Florida and it's like 90 and sunny and rainy all year. But like they don't really have like a spring and a fall like we do. I would miss that, you know? And so like we jumped into summer. We just got a little taste of spring and then we kind of jumped into summer today. It's just like, whoa, wait a minute. This is a little hot. Where are my shorts?
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's probably, I guess if you live there, it's normal. But yeah, I mean, like Christmas, you know, having like no snow or no cold weather. Or, I don't really mind the snow a couple times a year. It's just when you get buried and everything locks in and things like that gets rough. Or like in February when it's like, it's minus 25 with the wind chill today. Dangerous to go outside. It's like,
well, when February rolls around, I am over the cold weather. Like I would rather have everything reversed, like 3 months of cold weather and all year of nice, you know? And then mom's like, it's 90. And I'm like, oh, digging my car out.
Well, I got to say, when I went down to Florida, I went, you know, whatever, right before New Year's Eve. And yeah, I mean, walking from whatever it was, whatever it was, you know, 5 below or 0 or 30.
Cold. I remember that, yeah.
To like 82 that whole week. I was like, man,
that was so nice.
I didn't even know. I mean, I know Florida's warm, but I thought it got cooler like in the winter months. It was like in the 60s and 50s generally. And
well, it does get cooler, but for Florida, you know, it's not like here.
I hear you, but mom's lived down there for so long. It's like, have we never discussed that? I know she always like talks about how nice it is, but it's like, I don't know. We've never discussed like the dead of winter. It gets down to like 70. Like that's the cold.
Yes. I remember mom saying they pull out their boots. She's like, it's crazy. It's 70 and they're wearing boots because it's the only time they can. But like, yeah, that trip I took, I guess, when was it? Like February or March. It was the same. It was so cold here. And I had to go to Florida to visit my mom and help out with some things. And it was just like painfully cold and gray. And, you know, I'm putting my coat in my suitcase. I walk out of the Miami airport. It is like sunny and palm trees and 80. I got my rental car. I put the windows down. I blasted my music. I'm like, I love it here.
I know, it's nice.
It was like I was on instant vacation. And I'm just driving to South Florida in my rental car.
Well, there's two kind of funny things that happen is when I got on the plane, I'm like, look at these idiots and they're in shorts. It's like the dead of winter in Chicago. Like you dressed for Florida weather and then I got off the plane and I got like a sweat jacket on and long pants. I'm like, oh my God, I'm gonna have a stroke.
Who's the idiot now?
But I'm sure that everyone was like, look at this idiot. He's in long pants and a sweat jacket. This is Florida.
I felt like that walking through the Florida airport because I had my coat on. I'm freezing on planes no matter what.
Although in the Florida airport is freezing. I mean, they have the air cranked at the airport, man.
But everybody's tan and shorts with hats on and Mickey Mouse ears. No, that was Orlando. And I'm like in my big puffy coat. I look like the oddball.
Yeah, it's nice, but yeah, this is great weather, man. And it's gonna drop. Like this week was all in the high 80s, mid to high 80s, and low 90s. And next week it's gonna drop, at least here, into like the low 70s. You know, high 60s, low 70s for
that's May. That's spring.
Right, spring. Yep, that's what we're looking for. So,
Mom's gonna get here and be like, "Ooh, it's chilly."
I know. You have a coat on.
She does that. Well, I think her blood did change. I mean, she says it like she feels it.
Yeah, she's also an older woman now too. I mean, she's in her 80s, so yeah, of course she's going to be a little chillier. She's thinner, you know. She's like a little bit more frail, I guess. I don't know. I think that happens. No offense, Mom, if you're watching.
She's not watching.
That's just the truth. It's not like I'm saying anything bad. Sorry, she's not 80.
She's old. She's frail. She's cold. Get her a shawl.
She has
She's
one
a
on most of
very
the
young
time.
80-year-old.
Yeah.
81.
No, but yeah, she'll be here in a couple weeks.
No, I can't wait to see her.
Yeah, it'll be exciting. It'll be a fun week when she's here. So get some things planned out. Have her try some meals while she's here. My other in-laws will be coming in. So everyone's coming in for my son's graduation. He's graduating high school next or 2 week.
Woohoo!
A week. Geez, a week. No, 2 weeks. 2 weeks. Sorry, but yeah. So my in-laws will be here, and my mom will be here. So yeah, it'll be fun. Everyone will be trying and testing meals.
Yeah, and we're gonna plan a Memorial Day at my house.
Yeah, so that'll be fun.
So we're gonna have our Memorial Day menu coming out for our meal planners. Oh, this is for our meal planners. I don't know if I'm on the podcast right now. Where am I? I talk to you all the time. Is anybody else watching? Because when we hang out, we still talk.
A lot of talking going on.
I don't know where I am.
It does get confusing sometimes.
This is for the meal planners. Okay, we're talking about the meals. Why are we talking about the weather?
Well, it's just a little lead in. People like a little conversation.
You like to talk. That's
jump right to it. So before we jump right to it, don't forget the podcast drops on Tuesday. So this week's podcast is going to be a great one. Tips and Tricks, Part 1. So we got a 2-part podcast coming up. So that'll be fun. I think a lot of people enjoy that.
Part 2.
Oh, Part 1 already dropped. That was this week. Jeez, I'm off on that thing.
Oh,
the exciting conclusion is what I meant to say.
This gets really confusing.
There is a lot going on right now.
Today we have our Mother's Day extravaganza. No, we don't. We didn't do that.
So yeah, it's a lot. Yeah, geez, man, I forgot about that. Holy cow.
I just remember that Jenny said that she listened to the podcast and she picked up a lot of tips and tricks.
Oh yeah, I did see that. Yeah, man, yeah. You're right. Yeah, I didn't do the next one. So part 2. Yeah, geez, and I was gonna hit you up and say, whatever, I'm gonna do that the teaser for next week. Just like, we've already done it essentially.
We've teased that.
But I will tease the part 2. So yeah, part 2 is coming up. So. And the first one was we kind of had, there was some discussion beforehand, so we kind of just got into it. So the second one should be kind of packed full of more, a lot more stuff.
I mean, when I edited the first one, I re-listened to it, obviously, and it's a lot of good information, but a lot of the tips and tricks were packed into the second one.
Right.
Because we were getting into like really good things to know. I can't think of one right now.
There's a lot of them.
Trust me, there's so many, it's going to blow your mind. I just can't think of any, but it was really good. And I said to Phil, well, all the tips are in part 2, most of them. But Jenny picked up a few from part 1.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, for, I do, some when I do the check-ins on Monday and things like that. And it's just funny because like I do reiterate myself because I know either new people are watching or even people that are here don't always catch the Monday, check-in or so I do talk about things that I've talked about. And a lot of times I'll say that, like, as I've already said, or I know I talk about this all the time, but in the end, just those little things. And just even like yesterday when I was cooking, I was making something and it needed tomato paste. So I looked in the cabinet. I'm like, I have no more. I know I have some frozen, but I need to pick some up at the store. So it was on sale. It was like 89 cents for a can or something. So I got like 4. And I got home and I put one out and I had the can opener out. And I'm like, wait a minute, why am I going to open another can? I already have them in the freezer. So the idea is like,
oh, I love that. Yeah.
Right. But it applies. Like it always applies. Like, so all those little things, it's like I always do that. I'm like, I have to remember. The green pepper trick is I'm cutting up green peppers yesterday. It's like, oh yeah, the green pepper trick. I gotta keep remembering those things.
It's so true. And I just said that before we came on live to Phil. Like we just did a really big podcast on weight loss, and it's a really good one, and it's packed with all this information. But it's little things that you forget. And so I just told Phil, like, I just filled this up because we say, like, obviously drink water. Everybody knows that. Lots of water to lose more, to help it along. But like, I'll forget too. But now that we just talked about it for 3 hours, it's fresh in my head. So I'm like, fill up your water. That's why it's always good to remember this stuff. Because it's just, you got to get a little reminder sometimes. And to me, that's what my podcasts were always good for. I mean, when I used to listen to them, getting into this way of eating, just hearing it over and over, all those, just reiterating all this info. It's like, that's why I'm doing this. Okay, that's right. It's like, it's really good to keep all this fresh in your mind.
Not only that, though, then like last night, I did my workout or whatever in the morning, and then at night, I played some guitar and I was just hanging out. I'm like, the basement's nice and cool, so I'm like, I'll go in the basement, and I just put on the news and I'm watching. It's like, well, I'm just sitting here watching news. I may as well just get some more calories out of the way and do another quick workout. So I did, but I did a low intensity. And I don't want to get too much about the Oculus. I know we talked about that in the podcast.
We talk about it a lot, but we're into it.
What I like about the low intensity ones is, and I believe I already even said this to you, but you can get into that flow better. So when you do the higher ones, you kind of get it a little bit better. So it's almost like the low is practice for the high. Because man, I did a high one today. I can barely, it was, and she's like, there's going to be a lot coming at you. I was just like, I can't get the flow. I can't get the flow.
I did that. Too much going at me. But how do people even do it? I'm not fast enough because I'm trying so hard and I'm just doing little movements.
Right. But part of it too is there are set patterns. So, and they will repeat, and sometimes they repeat backwards. So once you get forward,
I know those.
Backwards. And I think that's part of it, is kind of catching that pattern and seeing what the pattern is and making sure your hands are going the right way.
Because I'll miss the first one, but then maybe I'll catch the second.
Right, yes.
Because she'll say it sometimes, like, here it comes again.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. And I guess with practice, but
my point was, we just talked about that, and it's like calories out. Maybe I can get some extra calories out because we were just talking about it, so that's what kind of tipped me off. It's like, well, I can just sit here and watch the news, or I can do another workout and there was a quick one. It was like another 12 minutes or something like that. But it's just like, it gets in your head, and it's just like, I should be a little bit more proactive instead of just sitting around for 10 more minutes. I can get another, workout in.
Even when we were talking about the nuts, because I'm not going to get into it. We got to move on. But like we were talking about, nuts do have a lot of.
I had an orange for a snack last night.
And I could see the wheels turning, like, maybe I should stop snacking on nuts before dinner.
Believe me, I do. I
know.
We usually buy in for like, if we put them out for guests. So we'll buy like and my wife will get the she loves them too, but she'll get the massive one from Costco, like the mixed nuts, and we put them out for guests. But then we have a half a jar left, and it's like for the next week, it's like, a handful of nuts, and those have a ton of salt in them. I know they're not, and I try to stay away, but it's just like, those nuts look good.
Salt, buy the raw nuts.
So I hear you.
But I know
the ones that Costco.
Yeah.
But, anyway, so it does, and those little things, that's what happens. Is like it kind of sticks in your head, and then you play it out, during the day. Same thing happened with you with the water. Same thing happened with me with the workout.
Right.
It's fresh in my head, and I apply it.
And I hope that's why people are going to listen to our podcast like every week. Hopefully they'll get a little tidbit or get something out of it, get a little inspiration, get motivated to, even if it's drink water. That's a healthy habit. Yeah. One little thing, and then they'll tune in again, and then next week they'll get another one. That's how I did it with all my podcasts. I was like, every time I got something that I didn't know. And then I was like, I really want to listen next week. What is she going to say next week? About whatever subject it was, all involving plant-based eating, because I got like super obsessed with it. Not that I'm not now, but when I was learning everything, I just couldn't get enough.
Yeah, I hear you. And that's good. I mean, and some things do repeat, and, sometimes you need that. You need, a reminder to do, I should work out today, or, I should be drinking my water. Like Judi had said, she forgot, to do today. And that's all it is. And the same thing, like it got hot. It's like, grab the bag of ice, like cold water all day long, like keep filling it up. So.
Yeah. All right. On to the meals.
We'll jump into the meals here.
Well, we have another week of deliciousness. And I know we always say that, but we still are surprised by this ourselves, because this food is just so good. So good. We just surprise ourselves. So we also talked about this in the podcast too, that like has to be good for this to be sustainable for us. That's why we keep working at it, shelving things that aren't right, because We just need to make it super delicious. If not for the meal planners, for ourselves too. Like
right.
now I have tamales. I want to make these for mom when she comes in. You know, it's like just so much fun to have these new things.
Not only that, like beforehand, even before I was plant-based, I feel like I eat, and again, obviously, I'm in this business, and now we're doing this and making meals, but I eat way more diverse meals I do now than I ever have. I mean, in my entire life. I mean, I would always stick to the basics week after week, and then occasionally throw in like something different, something special, something fun. But now it's just like every meal is like fun and exciting.
And
not always. Not there's some flops, and those aren't fun and more exciting. But like the meals are happening.
I know. And then, like we say, there's so much diversity, and that means there's so much diverse nutrients. And so when we say we eat a well-rounded plant-based diet, we really, really do. We are not eating, like I always go back to this, but like a hamburger and mac and cheese. That's like I don't know, what are you getting from that? But look at this tamale. Like I know everything that's in it because I made it, with my own two hands. Literally, I rolled the thing.
But just looking at it, there's beans in there. There's nuts from the cashews. There's vegetables in there. It's like such a mix in one little packet, of delicious.
Yes, and that's what I'm saying. Packed with nutrients. Even the corn, the masa harina, that's just pure corn, organic corn, broken down into a flour. That's all it is. Roasted poblano peppers. That's all it is. Fresh peppers, no oil, nothing. They roast in the oven, peel the skins off, chop them up. The beans, I broke the beans down in a pan and added spices. Spices are so good for you. We have a new spice, ancho chili powder, that I haven't used before. It's delicious. And then the nuts and the cheese, that's all that's in it. Is like 1/3 of a cup of cashews. That's not adding a lot of fat. And it is delicious when you put it all together and you know how to do it when you steam them. If you've ever had fresh tamales, they're like one of my favorite things on earth. I love the corn, what is it? The
masa.
The masa, yeah, the dough. It's so delicious. And no, I guess authentically they use lard, and I know they are delicious. I've had them in the past. I've had vegan tamales. They're just as good to me. I mean, I don't miss the lard. I haven't had it in 10 years, but these are so light and fluffy. So good. So not only is it packed with flavor, it's all those nutrients that add to this diverse mix that we want to be eating. That's why you don't have to worry about calcium or protein or anything like that. Like I always say, somewhat mindful of it, of course. You can't eat, even though broccoli is, excuse me, so good for you. You can't just eat broccoli because then you're just getting specific things only. That's why we have to mix it up. So our meals have a little bit of everything.
Yeah, and don't be afraid to make tamales. Like I've never made tamales in my life, so it's like, all right. I watched a bunch of videos of how people rolled tamales, and it's like, you know what? That doesn't look hard at all. And there's all different techniques. Judi included one, just a video from someone rolling tamales in the meal prep notes. So if you download that, you can watch the video. You can also
exactly how to do it.
Google tamale rolling. Some people, use a roller to roll it out. Some people press it by hand. Some people cover it with plastic. It's easy any way you do it. So did you double fold yours, or did you just fold one side? Because I double folded mine.
I know, I noticed that. No, I folded one side. They work out fine, and I didn't put
Yeah, so I did mine in the center, so I double fold them, and then I just tied them off with string myself. But I know a lot of people just single fold the one end and put them in like that. At least almost every video I saw was single rolled. And then I saw one of double, and I'm like, I'm just gonna double because I didn't want to. If it didn't work out, I didn't want to spill them out.
No, they're fine because you just put them in the steamer and they just stay there.
Right.
You just carefully put them in and you carefully lift them out. I mean, they're totally fine.
Sure. In hindsight, after I did the maiden voyage, they worked out great. I've also done sausages where they exploded in the wrapper, and it's like, shoot, I wish I would have done those different.
Trust me, I hear you. I know. But like for me, something like making my own tamales just sounds like a production. Like I never wanted to make seitan. I never wanted to make veggie burgers. Tamales, it's like, what? I would never know what to do.
Right.
So when we started talking about this, I had that like initial, pushback. Like, I have to find corn husks. I don't know do I even know where those are? Like that's kind of my MO. Like, I want to not do that anymore, because every time it's just like anything else. As soon as you learn, it's so simple. You learn where the corn husks are, which is most grocery stores. Who knew that? I didn't know that. So easy. You put them in water and they're super pliable. And then you make the masa dough, and it is literally 5 ingredients. There's no rising, there's no waiting and putting a towel over it, waiting an hour. That's the part that turns me off. No, you put it in a bowl, you put 5 things together, stir it up, you got your dough, you put it in, and it's so easy. I'm just like, who knew? And they steam for 30 minutes and they're done and ready to eat.
And not only that, but they freeze great. I froze. Yeah, I made a dozen, and me and my wife had them for dinner. I think I had them for lunch the next day, and then I froze like 5, the 5 remaining ones. They were awesome. I put them in. I just took them, left them in the wrapper. I put them in a Ziploc bag. They froze for whatever, a couple of weeks or a week or whatever it was. I popped them back into the steamer. 10 minutes, they steamed there perfect. I was like, man, these are awesome. So yeah, next time I make them, I'm probably going to make a couple of dozen, and then just make, like, the first time I made it, I was just testing different ingredients inside. Some with cheese and pepper, some with onion, some with mushroom. That's what I did. Tamales is you can really stuff them with anything you want. I mean, you could just put the taco crumbles in there if you wanted, or cheese. I like the mix of cheese and vegetables. We use beans in this, but the taco crumbles would be great. So we'll probably come up with a couple of recipes with tamales, in the near future. But like making 3 or 4 different kinds, having some and then freezing them. And then, like I said, in 10 minutes, they were ready. It's like, oh my God, that was just so easy. There was no, if you have to make them. And I could see, like, my friend Rosa, she'd be like, hey, we're having a tamale rolling party. Do you want to order any tamales? And I'd be like, yeah, give me like 2 dozen. Because I knew she wouldn't be doing it for a while. And so then they started taking orders and doing that. And this is going back a few years ago. But same thing, I would freeze them. And it's like, man, whenever you want tamales, I'm sure what I didn't do, and I probably should have, was I should have microwaved one just to kind of see what would happen. I assume if you wet the husk and then you microwave it, would probably be pretty good. Like,
I didn't do that because we ate them too quickly. But I was thinking, like what you just said, putting them back in the steamer, that would be nice. I mean, I didn't have any.
Perfect. Like double steamed, there was no difference between the first time and the second that I noticed. Yeah, they were perfect both times. So
yay.
Yeah, these are awesome. Don't be discouraged by the process, because it is, and it took me a couple of rolls just to make sure, like, that was connecting. The first batch of mine were really thick, so even when I told Jude, like, thin them out a little bit, thin the dough out. Like, don't be afraid to have a thinner dough. But and in the picture, this is cut. So typically, we wanted to show the filling or whatever, but typically the masa is all the way around. You can take it out and really hold it neat if it was.
Yeah, I opened it up because I wanted you to see the filling, because it's like, look at the other one. That doesn't look very appetizing. And even when you cut a tamale, I've tried every which way to photograph these things too. Not easy. But when you slice it and you look at it like a cross section, it doesn't look like much. So I thought that looked more appetizing. At least you could see the beans and the peppers and the cheese. But yeah, the filling goes all the way over. And just watch the video in the meal prep document, because it shows you exactly how to do it. And it's so easy. I mean, you just put it on one side and then roll it up. And then I folded the bottom over. And that's it. I didn't even use twine or anything.
Oh no, yeah, I used to. Yeah, I guess if you just stack them and stuff, I guess you could. Yeah, so I fold them and then I just tie them with string. Like, again, I wasn't sure what was going to happen, so
I know yours looks so cute with the string. I need to talk to my friend Inez at the farmers market, because he makes really good vegan tamales, and he uses this. I was telling you, I think this dark red sauce. And there's barely anything in them, but I know it's that sauce that's so good. So yeah, it'd be fun to play with different fillings for sure.
Yeah, the second time I ate these, so the first time we just had them plain, which I've always had them plain. We used to buy them, and I don't know if Mom used to buy them or someone.
Dad.
Get them in the jar, and they have like that weird. They have kind of a weird sauce in the jar or whatever. So
I love them.
Yeah, I know. Some people, my mom used to buy like just the frozen ones. They're like 25 cents at the store. They used to be tiny little tamales or whatever.
Well, that's why I thought I liked tamales my whole life, because Dad used to buy those in the jar, and they were like a brown sauce, and
right.
Were not appealing. So that was my only idea of tamales, were those. And so then when it was my friend Cassandra who brought me this lady who in her neighborhood, she used to sell them on the corner, like freshly made that morning tamales. And they were to die for. And she used to bring them to work, and and she'd be like, I'm getting tamales today. What's your order? I'd be like, oh my God. Oh my God. She'd come at 9 a.m. I'm eating tamales. I learned to love them from that.
Yeah,
so good.
And you can make just thinking off the cuff, you can make breakfast tamales. You can, you can stuff them with the pork sauce.
I'm making a note. That sounds so good.
So yeah, I mean, you could do with a lot with them. I like versatile meals like that because I mean, again, it's just corn. The dessert tamales we were talking about, so you can do quite a bit with them. And yeah, them being so easy, I enjoyed the whole process. I got to say, I was a little standoffish. I called my buddy Javier. I'm like, you might have to tell me how to roll tamales and like how to do this. You know, I was panicking a little bit about it.
I know when you brought it up to me, I was too. I was like, what? Make our own tamales now? Why not? I can't be that closed-minded.
I love when that happens. Like I forced myself. It was just like it's such a popular thing. It's like when I'm trying to think of recipes, I'm trying to think of stuff that I think people may want, that people have either eaten in the past or want to eat now, and try for those. And sometimes it is a little bit of a process. And don't be, and I was looking at just the directions. Trying to explain how to do it is probably harder than actually doing it.
Yeah.
So don't be discouraged by like the directions, because I know sometimes I'm like, man, there's a lot of directions. But again, it's trying to over-explain almost,
Yeah, I know. It's true. Like when I was writing them or reading them, or you had written the original version, I was rewriting them, and I was thinking, whoa, it's so easy. Like this sounds like do this, do that, but you're trying to explain. It's like, watch the video. The video, you do it in 2 seconds. You put the dough on, you spread it out, you roll it out. So easy.
The directions are way longer than the actual process.
It's so true. Okay, so we talked about the corn husks, easy to find. Most grocery stores, the international section, and you could order them a better deal on Amazon, I'm sure. Just soak them, wash them really good, just soak them because you just want them pliable because you need to roll them up. So I'm not sure every brand if they're a little bit more firm, but if you right away just put them in a bowl of warm water as you're making everything else, they'll be perfect. They'll get soft right away. Yeah. And then just pat them dry, drain them.
Yeah, these were great. These were super easy to do, and I was super happy with the results, man. I can't wait to make more.
I know. I just want to say a few things about them. The poblano peppers, for these, I love those. They're like a real smoky pepper, and they're not spicy. They're mild, and especially after you cook them, you roast them, and then it's like, I don't know, like 20 minutes, maybe 30 minutes, and then you put them in a bowl, peel the skins off, take out the seeds. You don't really have to be super careful like a jalapeno with like touching your face or anything. I mean, wash your hands, but you're taking out all the seeds and everything. So it's just a nice smoky flavor, super, super mild, not a lot of spice. But the jalapeno, pepper jack cheese, that's a little bit spicier. And so these do have a kick to them if you make it just the way we have them here. But if you want to make them with the cheese, just leave out, I have it all in the notes, leave out the extra jalapenos, the pickled jalapenos that you put into the pepper jack cheese, and don't add the dried red chili flakes. Then you have like a nice cheese. It's still the pepper jack cheese, but it's not spicy. But you should add the pickled jalapeno juice. You'll see what I mean when you go through the recipe, because that just has the flavor in it. I'm just, because I know some people don't want it spicy, and I don't want them to be turned off on all tamales just because, these are a little bit spicy. They're not spicy. They just have a tiny bit of a kick if you follow it to a T.
And if you're a meal planner, you can always come in the group and just, you could even say like, hey, I don't eat spicy. Is there a way to adjust? Because sometimes it's an integral part of the recipe, like with chipotle peppers, like when you add the chipotle, it's going to be spicy. It's hard to get right. But in the end, things like this, cutting out the seeds, cutting out the stems. Sometimes you can get tips from the group of how to make it a little less spicy if you don't like spicy, but still kind of retain the flavor too. Yeah,
and sometimes people post, hey, I made it like this, but I didn't add this, or I changed that. You could like I said, we're going to be making other tamales that are different and mixing up. So yeah, you can just make the masa dough and add your own things. You know, you could leave it up. Anything's going to be good. Seriously.
Right. Yeah. And like I said, like when we first did it, it was like, all right, we'll do a dry run. I didn't know kind of what recipe. So we almost made like a tamale, and it was fun. I got to say, if we had friends over, it would have been a fun day because we just kind of like a pizza night. We just made like 7 different toppings, and then we were just kind of mixing and matching. The problem with that was in the end, we steamed them all, and it's like, which one's which? I'm like,
that's what I did by myself.
Tamales. But my wife is particular about some things, and she's like, "Hey, this is whatever. You want this one?" I'm like, "All right, I'll take that one." She's like, "Hey, this one is too." It's like, "All right, just eat one." Jesus, like, how many do I have to eat before you get the one? Write your name on them next time.
I did that too because Frank's my taste tester, so I was like, one has cheese and one has just beans, and I was like, but I don't know which is which. He's like, I don't care. He's like the exact opposite. Delicious.
Which one was that? I don't know.
I'm digging through his tamales. I guess they're all good. Okay, and then the other one little thing is the ancho pinto beans. The beans are just our easy beans that we make on the stovetop in a saucepan. And we just bought ancho chili powder, which is really just dried poblanos. I didn't know that till I researched it. But again, I wanted these to have a smokier flavor, so the beans are just a little smokier. And so it's really nice. A tiny, tiny bit spicy, but since they're poblanos, they're just a little bit mildly spicy. So don't fear that. But if you do buy it, just taste it and see if it's too spicy for you. Yeah, if it is, just leave it out of the beans.
There's a whole, I saw at some point I saw a chart. I should try to find it again. It shows you what the raw pepper is, and then it's dried equivalent like that. So it says like ancho,
cool.
The dried poblano, and each one has its own, what they call it when it's dried compared to when it's fresh.
Did you know that about the ancho? I didn't.
Well, I did, but I didn't. I knew it from that chart. Now that you say that, because a couple of them were like, I didn't know that. Like, because a couple of them are like that, and I was like, wow. But
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I didn't retain that though. No, I don't remember because I have ancho chili powder in my cabinet spice rack as well. But yeah, I didn't know that was poblanos because isn't it red? Isn't it, or is it dark brown? Maybe it's dark brown. I can't remember.
It's like a dark brown red.
Yeah. Okay. Because the peppers are great, like a dark, deep green, like super deep green, like forest green. So, all right.
The peppers are green. They're really pretty, dark green.
Okay. We'll go from Mexico to Poland.
Yum! Gołąbki! Gołąbki! Love them.
So yeah, this is a dish, and we brought this up before that my mom used to make as growing up. I didn't know it was. I mean, looking back, it was never like, hey, we're having Polish cabbage rolls. It was always just, I thought it was like an American dish. It was just we're having cabbage rolls,
Well, they're not just Polish. I mean, there's like so many different types of cabbage rolls.
Of course.
Yeah, every like ethnicity and cuisine has their own version, it seems like, of, something rolled in cabbage. But this was the closest to what we grew up with, for sure. The cabbage rolls. They were always stuffed with like ground beef and rice, I think Mom always did.
Yeah.
They were very, very plain, but really good. And a key to this is because the sauce is so good. Now, everybody knows how much we love our beloved almond parm. But when you put it in the sauce, it makes the sauce so good. So the sauce is so simple. I mean, you do saute some garlic and onions, I think. Wait, I better double check that. I think so.
It's funny. I wonder how we did.
A lot of sausages.
How do they not know? It's like, all right, these are all made weeks ago.
How do they not know? We didn't make them yesterday. We made these a while ago.
We should pull up.
Oh, geez, you don't. I take it back. See? Good thing I checked.
Cut. Edit that out.
Why? We can't. We're live. Why is it so good? Okay. Even better. No sauteing. So let's rewind. You don't even have to saute onions and garlic with this. Just add the almond parm. It's so good. We just crack ourselves up.
Well, sometimes, and it's funny. Like, I just remember asking Mom about things. There was a few recipes just that I don't even know where Mom got them. Mom doesn't even know where she got them. So, like, like jambot or something like that. It was like potatoes and hot dogs and whatever.
Oh, that's a Yeah.
But I'd be like, what was the sauce? Like, how did you make the sauce? She's
Ketchup.
like,
Ketchup.
she's like, it was just ketchup. I'm like, no, it couldn't have been just ketchup.
That seems so strange. It couldn't have been just ketchup.
So there was things like that, or even like these, like, it's just tomato sauce, salt and pepper, and cheese, or whatever. It was like 4 things, and it's just like, no, it has to be more. I said, I remember it being like so delicious and savory, and she's like, yeah, it was just a tomato sauce and salt.
Ground beef and white rice in the middle.
But yeah, so I mean, some things are just so simple, and sometimes you don't think that they just have so few things in them just because of the flavor of them. And sometimes it's because they're cooking with the other things, all the flavors are combining, the juices are coming out of the cabbage and whatever.
Yes, they're marinating. But I bet Mom used to freeze gravy, and then she'd have leftover gravy, and so she'd make cabbage rolls. So she's making it with her good gravy, I don't know. Or maybe she just opened a can of tomatoes.
Well, some of it was like that, because some of it's like you had to have made, like, it must have been simmering for hours, and then you put it on, and she was just like, no, it was just tomato sauce, salt and pepper, and whatever it was. And I was just like, how can it be that simple? And then you make it. It's like, or like we used to make, I think the one I was thinking of was, and I know, again, I'm just bringing up meat dishes, but we used to have green beans and ribs.
That's what we ate our whole life.
Look back, seems like an odd combination.
That's really weird. I forgot about that.
But it had that tomato sauce, like just that light tomato sauce on it. And it was like, I remember sopping bread in there.
How'd they come up with that one?
I don't know, but that was good. Even those green beans and that sauce was so good.
Well, we can recreate that without the ribs.
The seitan and green beans.
Hey, you don't know.
I'm not sure.
Maybe it was all about the green beans and gravy.
Yeah, green beans and gravy. But yeah, so these were great. So as a kid, I wasn't a huge cabbage fan. I used to just eat the center, and then like Judi or my dad or my mom would eat the extra cabbage.
Just like the stuffed peppers.
Right. Yes, I didn't like that. I didn't like the vegetables. And here I get on my son about not eating vegetables. But I ate a lot of vegetables. But yeah, there was just certain things. Now I love cabbage. I mean, cabbage was just never, we'd eat it like corned beef and cabbage. That was like the extent of my cabbage eting. Once a year, Mom would make corned beef and cabbage.
St. Patrick's Day, or these. I bet that was pretty much it.
But I'm saying, I didn't eat the cabbage on these. Like my cabbage eating experience, or coleslaw. I'd eat Graham's coleslaw, but loaded with mayonnaise and milk.
Cabbage and mayonnaise.
But we've remade that, which is delicious.
So
that was
good,
a good. We have a good remake with. I think it was the last 4th of July. We had like a good that creamy coleslaw or something. But
yeah.
These are great. Again, kind of a for us, for me, it's like these are like just a good memory of Mom making cabbage rolls. I don't look at it like a super ethnic dish, but these are great.
So the only tricky part to these is actually you have to cook the cabbage first to make them, the leaves, pliable, to roll them up so they soften. So if you've made cabbage rolls, maybe you have your own way of doing this, but I don't know. I meant to ask Mom how she always did it, but I tried it a few different ways. And what worked best for me is, and it's a tiny bit, not dangerous, but it's tricky because you have a big pot of boiling water. You just boil the water and get a pot big enough to fit the entire head. And then get the water boiling. And then I put oven mitts on and with tongs, carefully put the cabbage into the water, carefully. And then put a lid on it. So you need a pot big enough with the lid. And then you just leave it for 7 minutes and it softens the outer leaves. So then what you do is you uncover it, take the tongs, and then it's kind of fun and dangerous because the water's boiling. You could turn the water down, or you could even turn it off for this part. And then just pull the leaves, the outer leaves off with the tongs and have a bowl ready to just put it into the bowl. They'll fall right off, the outer leaves, but then you go around and around. And as soon as they don't come off anymore, just put the lid back on and leave it for a few minutes. They're not ready yet. So the outer leaves cook first. So you just have to kind of play with it. It's not dangerous. I'm just saying, prepare yourself with the oven mitts. Because if you get one splash of boiling water, that hurts. It's happened to me plenty of times over the years.
Well, there's also steam coming out, and you're going in and out of hot water. And, just be careful.
It's super simple. Just be careful. You don't want to burn yourself. Steam burns are the worst. So, that's all you do. And then you want to have at least 12 leaves. I think it makes 10 or 12. I don't know again what we have in the recipe, but give yourself a few extras. And then what I did with that core, it gets down to where they're tiny and you're not even going to stuff them, but you still have a nice little head of cabbage, a tiny one. I just chopped mine up and sauteed it. I like that too. I love sauteed cabbage. I don't know if you ever do that, but I just spray some aminos on it. It's so good. I just had it last week because I had some left over. But yeah, that's the only tricky part about this. The sauce, like I said, is super simple. Make the beef. So what we have inside are our beef style crumbles. You can make those ahead of time. And what else? Oh yeah, the walnuts. So what we did for that flavor, for that little boost of flavor, we grind up walnuts or chop them up really small. Just make sure that you chop the walnuts up small. You don't want big chunks of walnuts, but you don't want like paste either. So yeah, just play with that and mix together. It just gives it that little bit of oiliness that nuts give us, and it just is a great flavor. And then we also put a little bit of almond parm in the center of these in that mix. So it's so good.
Flavor boost.
Yeah, a little flavor boost. They are delicious. I mean, it's so fun to make things that, like you said, bring us back to our childhood that are just that delicious. All right.
And last but not least, the Chinese eggplant with the garlic
sauce.
Garlic sauce.
Look at that beautiful dish.
Yeah, this is great. Those eggplant are delicious, man. Those things are so good. They get so soft and like they're nice because they stay together. They're firm but soft. You gobble them right up.
I cannot believe this. Good for you for coming up with this with the Chinese eggplant, because Henry always has them. I'm so excited about this summer now because Henry always has them. And I mean, I can't even remember doing anything with them. Probably sauteed them or something, but I never baked them like this. But I can't even begin to tell you. We've eaten eggplant our whole life. So what we used to do, I think Mom used to get a pan or a skillet and fry the slices, because we make
no skin. No skin though.
No skin? No skin. Yeah, well, that skin's tougher. So we use the Italian eggplants or the globe eggplants, the typical ones that most of us are used to. No skin, peel them, and then she'd slice kind of thick slices and fry them in olive oil. But those eggplants soak up so much oil. I mean, if you've ever done it, when I did cook with oil, I used to do that. And I'm adding more oil to the pan, and you look and it's gone. You're adding more oil. I don't know how where they put it. I mean, it's like it just goes away. And then try baking them, same thing. So I've been pretty frustrated with no oil eggplant, because we make the eggplant dish on our site. Do we have it on the site?
Yeah, there's the eggplant like Parmesan or eggplant lasagna, I think.
We have eggplant lasagna, but I don't know if we have our eggplant that we grew up with. I don't know. I'll have to go back and check. But anyway, we used to layer it with basil and these like greasy eggplant slices. I mean, it is delicious. And then our gravy and lots of basil. And we ate that our whole lives. You just eat it hot, eat it cold on bread. So we have our own version now with no oil. But my whole point is, that's tricky because that stuff is really soaks up the olive oil. It's hard to get it without it. I mean, it's just kind of tough. But this bakes up, like he said, so soft in 30 minutes in the oven. It's beautiful. I was like a light bulb moment for me. I mean, it's like a whole new world of eggplant. I'm going to do so many things with this stuff.
Yeah. That eggplant, I mean, it's got a great flavor. And yeah, to be able to eat the skin like that, and it's not tough at all. I mean, it's great. And I know some people do cook with that regular eggplant skin. I don't care for it. It is tough. It is a little harder. If you bake it for a while, it's not quite as tough. But we always used to peel it, and I still do. I mean, I peel it. I was even just asking Judy. I told her. I read somewhere that like they bred a lot of the bitterness out of eggplant, and I still haven't looked it up yet. But I still salt that eggplant. Like this, you don't have to salt. Like it doesn't have that bitterness
flavor. Yeah.
But these were great. And like I said, I like the fact that they're super soft, yet they stayed together. Like they stayed. You have to mix this up. Once you get it into the sauce, you have to kind of mix it up, and they all stayed together pretty good.
Yeah, and I mean, you found him at Jewel, you said.
At my Pete's, I think. But I think they have them at Jewel as well. I think they have a both.
I've seen them at Jewel. I've seen them at Whole Foods. I bought them at some little, it's like a, I don't know what it is. It's another little market that's close by here. They have a lot of vegetables. So I know that you can get them. I mean, I'm not sure if they have them everywhere, but hopefully you can find them pretty easily. They're not hard to find. And I know that they're going to be at my farmer's market for sure. And so I think Henry has them every summer. So I'm sure you can get them there as well. Just file this one away if you can't find them and go to your farmer's market. But it's not one of those things where it's hard. You might have seen it already, at your store and you don't know what to do with it. I don't think you'll have a hard time finding it. And I really suggest you find it, because what we're saying with, if you love eggplant, this is just crazy how it cooks up. And it's like almost melts in your mouth. It gets so soft, no oil. Anyway, I love it.
Yeah, this was a super tasty dish, I gotta say.
Yeah, and it's just the usual flavors that we love: garlic, ginger, the scallions, the peppers, the mini peppers. These are nice because they have like little that we make them into like little rings, so you get those little sweet mini peppers.
And part of this was the garlic sauce. If you can knock the garlic back if you don't like as much garlic. I mean, the idea was to load it up a little bit with the garlic. I held back on the chili peppers just because, I mean, I would have probably put 3 or 4 in myself because I like it spicy, and I think this would be awesome spicy because it has, that sweet and savory flavors anyway. It has that miso in there. So just the flavors, to me, lend itself to be really spicy, but my wife doesn't like it spicy. But I think we have just 1 pepper in the recipe. You can put 3 or 4 if you want, crush them down, make it a little spicier if you like. But yeah,
or leave them out.
This was like the perfect combination dish for me, like all those flavors going on. That's what I love about Asian food like that. It's like you can add all those things together. Not every dish you can add like the sweet, the savory, the spicy, the tangy, all in one dish, and then put it over noodles on top of it.
Oh my God.
It's like my ultimate, an ultimate meal for me. Like has everything going on that I like.
I like to add a lot of green onions fresh on the top afterwards. So that always adds a lot for me. It's so good. And then you could have this over rice as well, brown rice. You don't have to have it over noodles. It's just as good over rice.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
or other noodles too, I use the udon. I try to mix up the noodles, brown rice, udon, whatever.
Exactly. And now look at everything that's going on in this dish. Back to what I was saying about mixing things up. So you're having brown rice noodles, you're having whole wheat noodles, you're having beans in another dish, you're having eggplant, all those antioxidants and the peppers and the green onions and all the garlic. Garlic is like a super powerhouse nutrient dense food, so it's like all the little things, and there's no oil in that. Nothing, there's no hidden ingredients. It's all natural.
Yeah, and those come out. That whole dish came out great. It comes out perfect. Like, I don't know. You're always thinking like with Asian food, it's like a wok and oil, and you're stir frying everything.
Right.
It's like everything just cooks perfectly in that.
With no oil, you just turn it up to high heat, like flash, throw it in, start stirring, and it cooks. You don't need the oil. And that's the one thing about this dish that I loved. Well, and I do still order it sometimes, but like what I don't like is it's very oily because that eggplant is just like I was saying, naturally soaks up that oil. So every time I do order this out, I have asked for low oil. I always try to because I always know, but I always still feel like it's oily, It's really hard to get away from it.
It's like a sponge, man. That sucks up. And I remember Mom used to say that, it just sucks up so much oil. And you think like, that thing's just loaded with oil. Like you bite into that thing.
How much oil are we eating?
It's like
oh God.
But yeah, no, this came out great, man. I was super happy with the way it came out. Yeah, man, you're right. I will use that on a lot of other dishes. It's easy to kind of just throw in too. I'm going to try and stir fry it just to see kind of what happens, just to dry stir fry that.
Oh, let's do that.
I do love like onions and peppers when you crank the heat up on a pan and you keep mixing it, but you kind of stir fry those and it has kind of that little bit of a char on them. I really like vegetables like that where they're a little bit crisp and a little bit char and a little bit done and a little bit not. Like, I don't know, it's just a good combo.
Oh, my friend Armando, when I went down there and his wife, Monica, she made this tofu dish for us. And I've been meaning to do this. It's been years now. But she did that with broccoli. She had a really hot pan and she threw fresh broccoli in and it literally charred. Yeah. And she's like, oh, it's so good like this. So she charred it all the way around. And I remember her taking out, I don't remember exactly what she did, but then mixed it back into a sauce, I think, after it was charred like that. And then they also air fried the tofu, which was so good and got it crispy. But that charred flavor mixed in was so delicious. Yeah, we have to do that. Forgot about that.
So many good things to do. So yeah, anything more on this? I think we got that covered. You top it with some of the sesame seeds if you want, and some of that green onion. Right, the green onion's good. It just adds that little crisp. But I like throwing a few raw things in too, just to create some crispiness and some fresh flavors as well.
Oh, there's the mini peppers in the shot. That's
right here.
Yeah. Nice. And just that's a nice mix of color. There's yellow ones too. There's orange and red, and
let's see them here.
Cute. All right, well, that's it. More deliciousness, more nourishing your bodies, more nourishing your families.
Don't forget that there's in the email that you get, if you're a meal planner, you get the email every Friday, when we release the dishes. There's a download at the bottom that gives you kind of some prep notes. There's a video included again to roll the tamales up. You can Google how to roll tamales and watch and again, that's what I did the first time. Just I want to see how different people roll them. So there might be some different techniques that you like or that you do. I would just say don't have a real thick dough. We made that mistake, and then like out of a dozen, I think I made 9. So it was like 3 extra tamales worth of dough in my 9 than there should have been. But super easy. Don't be intimidated by rolling tamales. It's super easy to do. And
you know what? One thing about the cabbage rolls, the rolling too, it's the same thing. After you get the leaves, you just, if there's a hard stem on the bottom, just, cut it off with a paring knife. And then you put your filling, the leaf in front of you, and you put your filling just like a burrito horizontally, a little bit of filling, but there's a lot of leaf because you're buy a big head of cabbage. There's a lot of leaf. So you can really stuff them. And then you'll be able to eyeball it, how much stuffing. It's hard for me to tell you exactly how much stuffing, but you'll see. Because then I started rolling just a little, because I'm used to like burritos where I run out, or wraps. And then I was like, wait, I have all this leaf left. I could add double the stuffing, and you get a nice cabbage roll. Yeah. So you just roll the bottom up a little bit, fold the sides in, and then you just keep rolling forward. It's simple.
And then put it seam side down, and it'll stay. Won't unravel. Seems obvious, but
seam side down.
All right, awesome. Don't forget about the podcast on Tuesday. You can pretty much search anywhere for the podcast. We're all over the place now, and these places as well. But I already showed the meal plan one, and we will catch everyone next week. Hope everyone has a great weekend. We should be able to
enjoy this weather. I'm going out for a walk soon.
Awesome. All right, everyone have a